What's up, everybody? Scott Goshorn with RODEO Realty Beverly Hills, and today we're doing the 5 pros, 5 cons in 90210. Today we're going to start with the 5 pros of living in the 90210. Pro number 1 is the zip code itself. 90210. It's one of the most recognized zip codes in the world, and with that, there's a lot of great benefits. You have great school systems, great parks, great police. If there's any kind of an incident running around here, there's like 5 cops on them, there instantly. So you have great security, feeling of security. You're paying for it, and I don't rarely ever see a homeless person run around Beverly Hills. So number 2, as I kind of mentioned, the safety. There's very great security here. Police presence. They actually have another group that kind of runs around, so they have that. So I guess if you're a criminal, it's not the best place to be looking, so that might be a con for you. Pro number 3, or the upside. Getting into the zip code's very tough, but once you get in, there's great upside here. You get in, you stay here 3-5 years, you're gonna see the difference in pricing. And even if you hit come in into high time, it takes less to correct to get back things rolling and get you back where you want to be. And when it does correct here, as far as the market taking a dip, which everything always does, this zip code is just stronger. It's a Teflon, it's called the Platinum Triangle for a reason. And in 2008, when things took a crap nationally, Beverly Hills, 7 to 10% dip in pricing in homes. Didn't get affected that much compared to the national average by any means, and it bounced back rather quickly. So again, you're gonna get great appreciation. If you take a home what they bought 20, 30 years ago, 10 years ago, 5 years ago, you can see that. The dirt's very expensive here. There's not a lot of it. You find a great property, able to fix it up, find a gym lot. You can get great upside in this area, on the savvy side, and this is just wanting to buy it and live and just roll uphill and keep rolling up the blocks. Pro number 4, restaurant, shopping. Again, Rodeo Drive. Anywhere around the world you mention Rodeo Drive, most people are gonna know what the hell you're talking about. So you have great shopping. Every top brand that wants, is here. So you have amazing shopping, amazing restaurants. Some of my favorite spots are here. You got Spago down the street. Palm is one of my favorite spots. Probably the best lobster in town. Just FYI, you want to go there. Get some lobster, great drinks, steak. Got Mastro's. There's just so many nice restaurants in here. It's awesome. So you have great shopping, great restaurants. Who's who. All that fun stuff, it's here in the zip code. Number 5 is, it is the location. It's a great location. Beverly Hills, you're about 15 minutes from the beach, 30 minutes from downtown. You got Bel Air, West Hollywood, everything around you, sitting around here. So, sometimes it shuts down a little earlier in Beverly Hills, but you can definitely zip off to, West Hollywood and go out Sunset Strip. It's just right up the street. Pro number 5, great location, just as proximity in Los Angeles. So those are my 5 pros for living in the 90210. So let's talk about the 5 cons for living in Beverly Hills. Paying for this zip code. It's not cheap. So con number 1, it's expensive. You got to pay to play. You want to be in this zip code, it's going to cost you. Everything's higher. Beverly Hills gas station costs them more, it's going to cost you more. Groceries, it's going to cost them more to pay rent, it's going to cost you more on your food. So it's kind of correlated. People renting out space here, they got to pay for that space. So it's their price of good, their price of poker is going up. So your price to play poker is going up. So cost of living, cost of food, cost of everything else, it's costing people more to be in here, so it's going to cost more for you to be in here as well to pay for those goods and services. And the housing's not cheap. Like I mentioned, the average median home price in here is $7 million. You can get in for 2.5, and you can certainly get in a much higher, but 2.5 is probably the entry point for a house, somewhere around that range, and that's a house that's needs some work to be done. So you can get in. So the cost of living, con number 1, very expensive here in 90210. Con number 2, I kind of mentioned, is just home values. It's very expensive, to buy a home in here, single family, again, it can cost 2.5 to get into a heavy fixer, but the average home price is $7 million. Once you're in, you're great. But to move into this zip code to buy a nice house is going to cost you $3-4 million to buy something that's, decently square footage. You want a bigger house, bigger family, you're talking 5,000-6,000. You're talking 5-6 million. Generally things sell average, in the blocks around here around 1,000 a foot. Nicer homes 1,500 to 2,000 a foot as you get further up with the lot size. So again, average house is 7 million. Average condo is 1.2. So it ain't cheap to live in Beverly Hills. Number 3, tourism. It's again one of the most recognized zip codes in the world. So there's gonna be a lot of people who are milling around. So there's always tourists. walking up the street, you know, they want to be here, they want to stay here, they want to see Rodeo Drive. So if you're someone who kind of likes peace and quiet, you know, it is peaceful and quiet here, but there's also a lot of people visiting every year. So there's a lot of tourism. So if you're not a fan of that, sorry, it's what you're gonna have to deal with living in this zip code. Con number 4, you know, kind of goes in the real estate side. I put building a home. You know, there's a lot of hoops you have to go through in building a home. Beverly Hills itself, you know, just along with that, has its own rules, right? There's a lot of things and guidelines the government has set up. There might be different from just, you know, in West Hollywood or a city over. Building a home is one of them. Generally, when you build a home, you can build a home, get permits, and get it done in about 12 to 14 months. Outside of Beverly Hills. But if you want to build a home from scratch here, it'll take you about a year just to get those permits. Then it's going to take you another year to build that house. So you're going to be paying a lot of cost to get there. Be worth it in the end with the value, but it's going to cost you up front on the front end to get that. It's just a slower process, you know, if you want to build a home from scratch here in Beverly Hills. So con number 4, you know, it's building a home, but we're going to wrap in, you know, things are just, you know, it's a different set of rules. I think I saw something funny. I gotta think of it. I think kids can't like play in the front yard or in the street. Something crazy. There's something that you can't play. Like kids can't do something in the yard or something like that. So there's a lot of rules. You know, you dig into that before you move here because they have some funny ones. So just in general, building costs take long. There's just different animals. You want to make sure you read your guidelines before you're moving in here. So finally, my con number 5 is, you know, it shuts down a little early. If you want to go out and get after it on a night, you know, it's a little sleepier. Restaurants stay open 10, 11, but the town itself, nightlife's not a big thing here, and they probably do it purposely. You can go right up the street to West Hollywood if you want to go up on Sunset and Rage a little bit, but it's a little sleepier. You know, that evening energy, and there's great restaurants and dinners, you feel it, but you know, the later evening energy is just not really here. It's a little sleepier. I'm sure it's probably by design. So those are my 5 pros, 5 cons. If you have an interest in more around the city of LA, subscribe below to my channel. I'm Scott Goshorn with RODEO Realty Beverly Hills. I'll see you next time.